New England at Miami at 7 Eastern, followed by Oakland at Denver at 10:15 Eastern tomorrow. We're on at 5 o'clock Eastern for a 2-hour Monday NFL Countdown. Our trio starting the third season together in the booth. Mike Tirico, Ron Jaworski, John Gruden. Michael.
Patriots-Dolphins start the doubleheader, season 42 of Monday Night Football at 7 Eastern, the special kickoff time. Of all the new faces with New England, and there are several, which one are you looking forward to seeing?
Oh, Chad Ochocinco. I think clearly when you look at the wide receiver position, you have to see the field through the same eyes as the quarterback, and that takes time. Not just a single training camp, it takes off seasons and years of practice together. Tom Brady and Ochocinco have not worked together. That's going to be fun to watch because I think it's going to be difficult.
I'm anxious to see the Miami Dolphins on defense, where 10 out of 11 starters, they return. They added Kevin Burnett from the San Diego Chargers, their leading tackler, and Cameron will wake you up, Jaws. This pass rusher for the Miami Dolphins, Cameron Wake, is special. This is a top 10 defense. It's clearly improved.
That good, huh? So a lot of people aren't talking about the Dolphins defense. We'll see what they do to the Patriots. See you for the start of the Monday Night Football season at 7 Eastern Time.
All right, guys, look forward to that. And, of course, if the game is early at 7, we back everything up and we begin at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday. And, of course, we're on it. Monday Night Countdown at 5 Eastern Time. And, Tom, who's that served by?
Applebee's.
There you go. And then the game is at 7, and the game is at 10:15. Meanwhile, there is a game at 1 o'clock that's pretty good now. Ray Rice, Ravens at home against the Steelers. Yikes. Our Rachel Nichols is standing by at the Big Crab Cake.
I'm Rachel Nichols in Baltimore. Coming up on NFL Countdown, I'll tell you how the way Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger brushes his teeth is going to affect today's game against the Ravens.
You are watching Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
When I saw the rundown today, I knew it was going to be a good day.
We're out of that kid.
A little crazy here.
You've become the most violent show on television. Oh, that was a good day.
Don't miss Sports Nation, weekdays on ESPN America.
Hey, let's go. Right from the start, all day, all day.
Snap to him, San Francisco brings pressure. Ryan's going to throw backside, Harry Douglas, touchdown Atlanta.
Get this thing back right down the field. Let's take this thing over. Hey, stay patient. Stay patient. We're going to make a play. Come on, D. That away! Let's go. Do your job. We go right down this field. Get out of here with the win, all right? Look out.
Snap to Ryan. San Francisco wasn't ready. Ryan throws. Douglas first down.
On the ball. On the ball. Let's go. Get set. Get set. Let's go.
San Francisco brings 5. Ryan loads and throws. Back shoulder. What a catch. Roddy White.
How many more yards do we need? Hey, you get off coverage. Expect that thing. Look where he's at.
Snap to Ryan. Pressure coming back inside. Gonzalez first down.
Come on.
7 seconds left. Kick is away, and it is going to be good. Atlanta leads with 2 seconds left.
That's the dog right there, baby. That way to go. Yes.
There's electricity in the house. We got the best little guy in all of basketball, Allen Iverson. We got the best swingman in college basketball, Ray Allen. It's really getting to a danger time right now for Connecticut. Georgetown really operating well.
0 for his last 13 from the floor for Ray Allen. Georgetown leads by 1, but UConn has the basketball.
Gonna try to kick it out, a little handoff.
Allen with Iverson on him, throws one up. Georgetown can win if they score. Iverson with 7, with 6, Spades. Missed it, Williams, rebound. He missed it as well. UConn survives.
Connecticut wins their first Big East championship, this group of people.
It is the new season, and we are set for football.
And here we go.
He's going to air one out down the
NFL all season long, live on ESPN America.
Coming up on Sunday NFL Countdown, it was a summer unlike any other.
Oh, I can't wait. We're getting a boatload of money. Oh, great. Can't wait. I'm going to be famous. That's great.
We catch up on a crazy NFL offseason DJ Steve Porter style. Plus, are some coaches already feeling the heat?
You can't, and you did. Every week, the level got to go higher and higher.
Mort and Adam tell us who's on the dreaded hot seat in Week 1.
Well, welcome everybody to Sunday NFL Countdown. Now, for years, of course, we began at this hour, but already we've been rolling for 60 minutes. So, if you haven't heard that, every week now we kick off at 10 Eastern, which of course 9 Central, which is 8 Mountain, which is 7 Pacific, and I know some of our friends are up already from 4 o'clock in Hawaii. Sorry you all didn't get the memo, but I'm Chris Berman. Glad to be with us on Countdown. So we'll re-tee it up. Coach Mike Ditka, get ready for another roll. Good.
I'm ready to go. Ready to go.
Keyshawn Johnson, you ready to run the routes?
2 more hours. I'm ready.
Oh, no. Chris, go long. Chris Carter, go long. I got you. Tom Jackson, 26 years now when we get done with this season.
I'm here for you.
With these shows, and of course our usual crew. And we are combining our excitement for opening Sunday with the reality that this is the 10th anniversary of 9/11. Nice to see all of you here with us again. It seems like the old days in football, if you think about it, like decades ago. The big 1 o'clock game between a pair of bruisers, almost as if you're not sure you're going to get it on TV until you adjust the antenna. You better get it on the radio. AFC North heavies Pittsburgh and Baltimore, both 12-4 a year ago, renew acquaintances on the Ravens' home field, where the Steelers' 13-10 win last year was the difference in why they won the division title, using home field to beat the Ravens again in the playoffs, and then the Jets, and advance to the Super Bowl for the 3rd time in 6 seasons. Each team knows each other so well and almost mirror images each other, but the Steelers maintain the upper hand. This group of Ravens, under Coach John Harbaugh and quarterback Joe Flacco, has made the playoffs all 3 years. But when Ben Roethlisberger plays quarterback for Pittsburgh, the Ravens are 0-6 against him, including that big comeback Pittsburgh win last January in the playoffs, 31-24. Ravens anxious to change that, and we're anxious to get to Rachel Nichols.
Hey, Boomer. Well, I want to let you in on what Ben Roethlisberger did after losing the Super Bowl. He took the nameplate from his locker there home with him, plastered it up right below his bathroom mirror over his sink. Ben told me he looks at it every single day while he's brushing his teeth, and that when he walks on the field today, he's going to be extremely motivated. Now, defensively, there may be a small chink in the Steelers' armor. Their best pass rusher, linebacker James Harrison, still recovering from back surgery, and he told me he doesn't think he's going to have his usual endurance in the second half today. And the Ravens have their own issues. They've got a rookie at corner in Jimmy Smith, and the offensive line they're putting out there to protect Joe Flacco never played a down of football altogether, meaning the coaches are going to have to simplify their calls out there and hope they can all communicate. Still, Baltimore's players say they are the hungrier team because it's the Steelers that keep ending their season. Terrell Suggs said, "I am sick of it. I am disgusted." But can he change it? That's the question, Boomer.
Well, that's one of the big questions for the whole season, Rachel. And we'll get back to you early and often as we go to the IBM Insight Center. Ben Roethlisberger against the Ravens. This overall, obviously, this goes back before Coach Harbaugh was there. He's 9-2 against them. The other Steeler quarterbacks, Tommy Maddox started, Charlie Batch, Dennis Dixon, they're 0-5, but not all those were walks, that's for sure. So when Ben plays, it's usually a good result. Pittsburgh, by the way, has won 8 straight opening day games, and that's the 5th best all time. So that's what Pittsburgh does against Baltimore, but they've been looking at the schedule of the Ravens. Is this the year, Key, that the Ravens can get over the Pittsburgh hump, if you will?
They could, but they have to first find their identity. What are they? I mean, they go out and they get Lee Evans to lift the coverage. They have Anquan Bolden underneath on offense to dump the ball off, but they have Ray Rice back there. We know the identity on defense. As long as Ray Lewis and Ed Reed is on defense, we know what we're getting. Offensively, with Flacco, it's almost like they want to take this offense and turn it into a pass-oriented style, pushing the ball down the field instead of turning around, handing the ball off to the running back. You acquire Ricky Williams, give him some touches as well as Ray Rice, and they'll have an opportunity to get over the hump. Otherwise, it'll be a long season.
Well, you know, we know they play the physical game that Pittsburgh plays. They've proven that. They got a good defense. They got a pretty daggone nice offense. I think that this game is so evenly matched. It could come down to a play in specialty, whether it's a fumble, return, a block kick, or something. And both of them are very good in special teams also.
Well, look, I think they're going to run the ball better. They got Vontae Leach, who blocked for Arian Foster last year, so they should be able to run the ball slightly better against the Pittsburgh Steelers. But they are as good as the Steelers. One play was the difference between them being 13-3, Steelers being 11-5, and this play. You are up, your offense doesn't need a first down. Pittsburgh has not been able to move the ball all night. That play right there cost you in terms of getting home field advantage. And there's a couple of teams in this league, you know, we'll talk about the others later on, they need to play some of those playoff games.
And that's the identity I'm talking about. Turn
yes,
around and
absolutely.
hand the football off.
Hand the ball.
That would have never happened if you
hand the ball off. Go to the Super Bowl.
Guys, Baltimore can't get better offensively. Let's just say, for argument's sake, the defenses cancel each other out, all right? They both are very, very aggressive. I believe Pittsburgh's defense right now creates more turnovers than Ed Reed and the Baltimore defense. Ed Reed, I don't believe, is playing at a high level as he used to. But the problem is that offensive line. You guys talking about hand it off. Someone we're not seeing that video, that left tackle right now is Bryant McKinney. So that will never be a good matchup in this battle, okay? Like, they will not be able to put in enough help on Brian McKinney's side. Any of the linebackers for Pittsburgh, it's a mismatch against him.
Big question for Baltimore. If not now, when? I mean, they've looked at this since April, whether we're going to have a lockout or not. Home game, Pittsburgh, they got to get it. Here's a change I think they need to do, and they're working on it. Anquan Bolden, I think, was underutilized last year. And I know he had a lot of catches, but he can just you guys know, can rip the ball away. Just throw it in the middle, Joe, not up for grabs, but let him get it and rip it away from others. Don't lead him all the time. And Suggs has more sacks against Ben than any other player. Keep that in mind as you watch the game today. But if not now, when for the Ravens? You know, let's go. Well, the AFC South undercard today has plenty of new to it, as Tennessee, 6-10 last season, travels to Jacksonville, 8-8 a year ago. On Monday, David Garrard was the Jags starting quarterback. Tuesday, he was cut, exactly the same fashion in which he got his job in the 07 season. Remember, the Jags did the same thing to Byron Leftwich. Luke McCown starts while rookie Blaine Gabbert waits. Jeff Fisher coached the Tennessee franchise as far back as the Houston Oilers in 1994, going 147-126 and making a Super Bowl. Jeff is gone. The league will miss him. He'll be back. One of his assistants, Hall of Famer Mike Munchak, is in, and the new quarterback, Matt Hasselbeck, replacing both Kerry Collins and Vince Young, both gone. Hasselbeck's move from the Seahawks to the Titans was just one of the many offseason hits played as our friend DJ Porter took a look back.
Thank you all for being here. I'm just going to come out and say it. First, this hurts a little bit.
Do you understand how to be a man? Do you understand? My mama taught me how to be a man.
I just want to say,
I can't wait. Get a boatload of money.
This is great.
Can't wait.
Feeling great.
That's great. I can't wait.
I'm just going to say, it's a great day.
Can't wait. I'm going to be famous. That's great.
I can comment on that.
Watch how much evil.
I can comment on that.
Watch how much crime. At the same time, guys, how are you?
We got DeMar Smith there.
Just to make it clear.
Do you understand?
It's a great chance.
No chance. What's your plan?
I'm doing everything I can.
I know that. They know that.
This band taught me how to be a man. Well, I can't wait. Get a boatload of money.
This is great.
Can't wait.
Feeling great.
That's great. I can't wait.
I'm just going to say, it's a great day.
Can't wait. I'm going to be famous. That's great.
Where were we?
Practice.
Nobody's going to practice.
Talking about practice.
Not the game.
One day at a time. Day by day.
Talking about
Practice.
not the game. Guys,
Money, fame, are a part of this game.
I think I was shortchanged about money.
Just to cut to the chase.
It's a new day for me.
To restore my name.
Are you good enough as a team to beat New England?
I really feel like it's getting money east.
Are you good enough to beat the Patriots? It doesn't really matter. I'm challenging the league.
Do you understand?
This is free information. It is time to get back. I wish every guy could make this dream team.
I'd like to welcome Vince Young to the
Dream team.
Will you be one of the guys?
Come in my house.
Will you be one of the guys?
and rub it in. This hurts a little bit. What are you going to do? Go to Ditka's house next, or?
Does he know how to get there? I think he could find out.
It's local knowledge.
Yeah, I figured. You serve meals there, too.
I live way up there.
Well, we got some of that was fun, as always. So the season begins, and Tommy will call us our unsung hero, presented by Chevrolet. Unsung for now, but not for long. Who are you watching?
Exactly. He will not be an unsung hero for long. Broncos' #1 draft pick, outside linebacker Von Miller. I love the position. Outstanding speed, strength, agility, and instincts. I think this is the makings of a great linebacker.
Well, John Fox would certainly agree. Well, this is a great receiver, Andre Johnson, Houston. They beat the Colts in the spot last year with Peyton Manning. They get 34 points. Can they ring up points to make Kerry Collins sweat for the Colts? One of the games we'll continue to talk about, Colts at Texans, as Sunday NFL Countdown rolls on.
Still much more ahead from Charm City.
It was one of the loudest hits I've ever heard in my NFL career.
It's the best part of the Ravens-Steelers rivalry. Why the noise you'll hear today has been building up since January. And capital gains?
You have history with Grossman. 9 years, I know what I have. He's a 50-50 proposition every Sunday that you put him out.
Is Mike Shanahan's QB situation about to be another debacle in D.C.?
IBM Insight Center is presented by IBM. Let's build a smarter planet. Visit IBM.com/smarterplanet. Unsung Hero is brought to you by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
I'm Kevin Blackistone of Around the Horn. You're watching ESPN America. I knew there was something I liked about you.
CNBC, business media partner of Moreeeee Virgin Racing.
Playing for New York for all this time, it's just been a blessing. The fans are the best. They know the game. They know what's going on. They can't wait for you to get out there.
The New York people, they know that everything is the best, from their food to their sports to their people to the city. Everything is the best in their eyes.
As a Yankee, everyone wants to beat us so badly. But we're fortunate because we have so many fans that come and support us on the road that sometimes you almost feel that it's 50-50.
It's nothing like it. All the history and tradition, and even with the new stadium, and all the old guys, that came before you put on the pinstripes, it's definitely special.
In only 4 seasons, the dominating Dallas Cowboys walked away with 3 Super Bowl wins. In Super Bowl 27, Dallas took on the Buffalo Bills. MVP Troy Aikman threw 4 touchdowns to secure Dallas's 3rd win in 6 trips to the Super Bowl. 1 year later, Aikman and his Cowboys met Buffalo for a rematch. Emmitt Smith, the game's MVP, rushed for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns to hand the Buffalo Bills their 4th consecutive Super Bowl defeat. In 1996, Dallas went in pursuit of yet another NFL championship. The game turned in the Cowboys' favor as cornerback Larry Brown's 2 key interceptions both culminated in Dallas touchdowns, the second of which came in the final minutes of the game to lock up the win for Dallas.
NFL Fantasy. It's not too late to play. Sign up at NFL.com/fantasy today.
Yep, fantasy football now at 11:30 Eastern on ESPN2. This and every
Some guys I'm not as high on today, so we go to the touchscreen and a quarterback. Eli Manning, not a great play today. He really struggled in the preseason, under 50% completion, and in 2 games against Washington last year, just 1 touchdown pass. At running back, I know people are excited about Reggie Bush being named the starter, but with Wilfork and Haynesworth in the middle, Bush will be forced entirely to the outside, where the Patriots will be ready for him. And at wide receiver, Reggie Wayne is a great player, but his quarterback is now Kerry Collins, and the Colts have struggled with protection in the preseason. I have Wayne at 21 among wideouts this week, making him a flex play at best. Good luck in week number 1, everyone. Boomer, back to you and the guys.
All right, Matthew, thank you. Have a good show over there. Countdown Daily, meanwhile, need the latest on your favorite teams? Countdown Daily, presented by IBM, is your team covered every day with post-game recaps, coaches' news conferences, and predictions only on ESPN.com.
Any doubts? Let them go.
Everybody, let's go!
Second thoughts? Don't think them. Week 1 is all about right now and the road ahead. For every player on every team.
He struck him out!
Brian Wilson, we'll go with out there.
I feel like I want to rage right now.
Baseball tonight, all season on ESPN America.
Here tonight, Chapter 2 of 1 vs. 2. Well, is John Thompson ready for this one? He's got Luke Carnesecca's sweater on as well. Here goes Reggie Williams against Willie Glass for the stuff. Mullen blocked by Ewing. Look at Ewing. Backward stuff. Amazing. Ewing and Reggie Williams, a 2-man wrecking crew. Another block by Ewing as Mullen is stuffed. Reggie looking for a career high. He's got it. The Georgetown Hoyas defeat the St. John's Redmen in impressive style.
The AFC wildcard Denver Broncos climbed to the top to pull off an upset over the favored Green Bay Packers.
Second and goal from the 1. Elway.
Denver running back Terrell Davis rushed for 157 yards and 3 touchdowns to become the MVP. With this victory, the Broncos ended the NFC's 13-season Super Bowl winning streak. In 1999, no one was surprised to see John Elway and his Broncos back in the big game as they took on the Atlanta Falcons in Super Bowl 33.
Down deep the middle of the field. Rod Smith got it.
Elway completed 18 of 29 passes for 336 yards and a touchdown and ran for another score himself to clinch back-to-back Super Bowls for the Denver Broncos.
Super Bowl 33 is history. The Denver Broncos are world champions once again.
Larry Fitzgerald has been one of the best receivers in the game since entering the NFL in 2004. Coming off his 4th consecutive 1,000-yard season, Fitzgerald became the first player in Cardinals history to record at least 1,000 yards in 4 consecutive seasons. Stumbling through most of last season, the Cardinals never got on track and posted their first losing season in 5 years. Look for Fitzgerald and the Cardinals to get back on top of the NFC West in 2011.
I'm Michael Kim. Coming up tomorrow on SportsCenter, we have complete coverage of the opening Sunday of the NFL season. The Steelers and the Ravens waste no time rekindling their rivalry. Plus, Tony Romo and the Cowboys take on the Jets. The Yankees and Red Sox continue their fight for the AL East title. Plus, the Phillies and the Brewers go head-to-head in what could be an NLCS preview. All this and much more tomorrow on SportsCenter.
Countdown, presented by IBM.
Michael Vick, Philadelphia Eagles in St. Louis today. Michael, starting from the get-go this season, how good can he and the Eagles be? Well, if you landed on from the moon, and wondered what this NFL thing was all about and watched Thursday's opener in Green Bay, you'd say, you know, this pro football thing, it seems pretty good. He was pretty good, too. Bart Starr is carrying the Packers flag in Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers, they got off to a big start. Greg Jennings, Randall Cobb, 21 points in the first quarter, the 21-7 the Pack. But Darren Sproles, think he's any good? Look at him, we can go all the way. 72 yards, and the Saints were down by just 4. Randall Cobb, for the first NFL game, the first guy to return a kick in his first NFL game since the 50s. Randall Cobb could go all the way. 108 yards, the Pack up by 15. But Drew Brees and the Saints, they're moving now in the second half. Brees to Devery Anderson twice. The Saints cut it to end to 8 points. And then the last play, Mark Ingram stopped. 42-34, the Packers beat the Saints. Those two guys do for over 700 yards. Boy, I mean, that was a fun game. Now, so the Packers, they won it all last year. They're your favorites? They the favorites?
My favorite team is the Chicago Bears, but I'm picking the Packers to win it. I'm smart.
One game, two teams, but I'm picking the Packers.
The Saints look very good. They're going to be difficult. They're going to be a difficult out in the playoffs. But no one matches up. Aaron Rodgers is the best player. I'm going with the best player.
I'm going with the best team. They won the Super Bowl with 15 guys on IR, Green Bay.
And, you know, and Mike McCarthy is an easy speech to him. Yeah. Hey, we didn't even win the division last year. Let's go here.
Right.
Right? We won the Super Bowl, didn't win the division. They look pretty good. And if they're at home in January, you know that team. Well, two young teams on the rise meet at the new Sombrero in steamy Tampa when the Bucs host the Lions. Tampa Bay came from nowhere to go 10-6 a year ago with the youngest team in the league, led by quarterback Josh Freeman. Detroit, 6-10, broke free from years of misery when, among other things, they ended a 26-game road losing streak last December on this very field. Oddly enough, that win played a big role in allowing the Packers to eke into the playoffs, and we know what they did there. The Lions have a game changer in Ndamukong Suh at defensive tackle. They went 4-0 this summer. Since 1980, undefeated preseason teams made the playoffs 57% of the time. So that's music to the ears of Lions fans. But Merrill Hodge, what is this? The Lions can score points too?
Yeah, Boom. You know, there's been a lot of noise about the Lions and their offense. I think most people know Matthew Stafford, you know, Calvin Johnson. But the key to the Lions' offense may be their tight ends, especially Tony Scheffler, a guy that can actually play in the slot. Here's the Lions with two tight ends on the field. Scheffler in the slot. The Patriots choose to match up with 5 defensive backs. Look how they roll the coverage. They don't want Calvin Johnson to beat him, and a starting corner is over the tight end, so they should be cool, right? Absolutely not. Scheffler beats a starting corner. This is going to be a problem for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and really any defense that lines up against the Lions. You don't want Calvin Johnson to beat you, but then when you look at Pettigrew and Scheffler, two tight ends that can force you to put certain personnel on the field and still score, going to be trouble for any defense, but especially the Bucs today.
Well, all right, Merrill, thank you very much. I think the Lions are going to have a big season, especially at home. This week, we lost a great football player and a better person. As Tampa Bay Hall of Famer Leroy Selmon passed away due to a stroke at the age of 56. Highly decorated as a player and national champion in college at Oklahoma. Selmon was the first overall pick by the Buccaneers in 1976 and to this day remains the greatest player in the history of the franchise. This gentle giant shook off the Bucs going 0 for their first 26. And by 1979, he led Tampa Bay as the ultimate underdog all the way to the NFC title game. He played always in a 3-4, and every Pro Bowl when he got to play one game in a 4-3 and wasn't double or triple teamed, I mean, he had multiple sacks. But as he was remembered yesterday in Oklahoma City and Friday in Tampa, Leroy Selmon was remembered as a gentle giant with a big heart and a bigger smile and as a civic treasure. The Bucs will wear decals with his number 63 on their helmets today and moving forward. Leroy Selmon, a Hall of Famer in every sense of the word.
On the 10-year anniversary of 9/11, Tom Coughlin shares his personal story.
Tim, get as away from there, as far away as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can.
And moving on without Manning.
It took me about 3 years to learn his offense, and he's somehow learning in about 3 weeks.
The education of Kerry Collins in less than a month.
There's only one rugby website that's in the thick of it, with big stories, highlights, news and views. ESPNscrum.com. Total rugby guaranteed.
CNBC, business media partner of Moreeeee Virgin Racing.
In just his third season, the Falcons' Matt Ryan emerged as one of the NFL's elite quarterbacks. He was named to his first Pro Bowl and set new career highs with 28 touchdowns and over 3,700 passing yards. Ryan led the Falcons to a 13-3 record, the best in the NFC. With Ryan under center in 2011, the Falcons will be NFC contenders once again.
Lattimore up the middle towards the goal line. Touchdown, South Carolina. Touchdown, Marcus Lattimore. 80,000 on their feet here in Columbia. Number 1 is on the ropes.
This is one of the greatest days for the University of South Carolina.
One man to beat. 10-5. Alshon Jeffrey breaks it open. Broke 1 tackle, 2 tackles, 3 tackles. Are you kidding me? The exclamation point in the swamp.
Monday Night Football live on ESPN America. Get ready for some football with a Monday Night Double Dip. First, Brady and the Patriots head south to take on Jake Long and the Dolphins. Then, Jason Campbell and the Raiders head to the Mile High City to battle the Broncos. It all starts tomorrow at 2300 CET with Monday Night Countdown. Monday Night Football live on ESPN America, home of the NFL.
My emotion for week 1 opening game is always on a rampage.
Whatever happened on this damn field, we come off victorious today.
It's always electrifying. Butterflies in your stomach. That's it. You got to go in there and make the best of your opportunity.
Touchdown, Brandon Jacobs.
That's Motown. That's pretty good now. On to the NFC East, where the New York Giants, 10-6, visit Washington, 6-10, in a late afternoon kickoff. Last season, the G-Men started 6-2, but faltered just enough so that their season-ending win at Washington, giving them a sweep of the Redskins, was not enough to wedge them into the postseason. Today, the Giants have many injuries, but have the only Manning to start at quarterback. Eli makes his 111th straight start, passing Joe Ferguson for 5th longest streak all time. Washington started well enough in year 1 of Mike Shanahan with Donovan McNabb at quarterback. They even beat the Packers. But the Skins won only once after Thanksgiving last year, and McNabb is now a Viking. Shanahan has reached for another former NFC Super Bowl quarterback, Rex Grossman. For more on his decision at Signal Caller, we call some signals for Mark Schwartz. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning, Chris. You know, for many in Chicago, Rex Grossman has become a punchline or even a punching bag. Well, when I spoke to him on the phone this week, Rex punched back. He said, yeah, I know I had some bad games, but I started every game of that Super Bowl season, won 15-4, and we were deadly at times on offense. And he says, I'm as confident as I've ever been at quarterback. And his teammate Chris Cooley loves the fact that Rex picked the Redskins to win the NFC East. Cooley says, as long as I've been here, we've had a culture of losing. It's lasted nearly 20 years. He says Rex believes we can win. And the only way we can change this is to have guys that know we can win. Cooley thinks so, and so does Mike Shanahan.
Well, that's what's important. Mark, we'll get back to you in a minute. Thank you. Bill, Key, and it's interesting to see you guys together again. Has Coach Shanahan lost that magic touch that he certainly won back-to-back Super Bowls with? What do you think?
Well, I think, you know, when I look at Coach Shanahan and his guru-type attitude of quarterbacking, when I look at the numbers and facts don't lie, he is 70% with John Elway at quarterback in his winning percentage. He's won 2 Super Bowls. Anybody else has played quarterback for him, 1-4 in the playoffs and 54% winning percentage. That's all I need to see. I don't need to see any more.
You know,
The one I didn't understand, Key, the most was why the Redskins ever let Jason Campbell get out of there. You know, looked like he was just starting to come along. 20 touchdowns, 15 interceptions in his last year. McNabb, now I didn't hear anybody on this countdown crew complaining about that signing, okay? I didn't hear you crying the blues about that sign. We're all lauding you for that. But it's a difficult situation. Grossman does have a track record. Beck, I'm familiar with him. He's not experienced. It's a tough situation for Mike now.
You know, you hear this all the time from head coaches that say, I can win a Super Bowl, but then I have some losing seasons and suddenly I'm not a good coach anymore? Suddenly I'm a terrible coach?
You know, he had John Elway and Terrell Davis in Denver. He got a few extra years. The other quarterbacks didn't pan out for him well. He went to Washington, the Donovan McNabb experiment didn't pan out. We'll see what happens with Rex Grossman. I mean, we'll see.
I think he's going back to his roots, though, Shanahan. I think he's going to go back and doing what he did, run the ball. It's not like that league you played in there in California. The passing league, you know, they take the hankies out of the pocket. They're not doing that this year in Washington.
But you know that are you still a good head coach anymore? I mean, that's something that Tom Coughlin has had to ride that wave with in New York as well. And people often look at Coughlin as maybe stoic, even stiff, but for those who really know him well, he can be warm, he can be thoughtful, and he's a passionate family man. We got to see that side of Coughlin a lot more 10 years ago today when Coughlin was blessed that his son survived being in the South Tower. Here's Rachel Nichols.
This is the drive Tim Coughlin takes to work every day, past the stadium where his father coaches the New York Giants, toward the tunnel into Manhattan. As Tim heads to work as a bond trader, his eyes can't help scanning the skyline for the buildings that are no longer there and the people he can no longer find.
You made it, but then you see these faces that you know didn't make it. And then, of course, I had very close friends that didn't make it. So there's a little bit of guilt that goes through your head, and you start to think about why were you able to get out? And then you become thankful because these people did so much for you to get out. With the fire personnel, with the police personnel, what all the security did on that day to try to save people, which was extraordinary measures. Really, that's the reason why I'm here. But I still think about it a lot. I don't know if I'll ever sort of get past it.
In 2001, Tim was working in the South Tower of the World Trade Center. He described September 11th as a brilliantly ordinary morning. In fact, he happened to be staring out the window of his office on the 60th floor, looking at the North Tower.
This is live coverage from ABC News. An airplane has crashed into the upper levels of one of the twin towers of the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan in New York.
All you can see is debris, shrapnel, explosion, smoke. I just thought it was a bomb or some sort of an explosion.
Unsure of what was happening, Tim and some of his colleagues headed down to the sky lobby of their building, which was on the 44th floor.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Another plane just flew in.
The second tower has exploded.
Soon after Tim reached the 44th floor, the second plane hit his building around the 78th floor, chillingly close to the window he'd been standing at only minutes earlier.
It felt like the building, A, was picked up and moved and set back down, and then, of course, the windows started to explode. And from there, of course, there was a mad dash to the stairs.
Until that moment, it had been an ordinary morning for Tim's father as well. In 2001, Tom Coughlin was the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I remember it almost just like it was yesterday. It was, even though it was 10 years ago. I mean, we were on game plan day. It was a Tuesday. My daughter Kelly called and she said, "Dad, do you know what's going on?" I said, "No." Then it became apparent to us that something was really, really wrong.
Coach Coughlin began frantically trying to telephone his son, but the cell signals in New York were jammed.
I called and called. I mean, every 2 or 3 minutes for what seemed like hours. You know, this cell phone ring, 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 and nothing happened, no answer.
What is that time like as a parent?
It's a most difficult time because the anxiety the questions which pop into your mind. You know, is he safe? Where is he? Who's he with? Does he have access to get out of there? You know, is there fire below him? Because you're not trained. How are you trained to deal with that kind of stuff?
Finally, after more than an hour, the news came. The Coughlin's other son, Brian, had somehow gotten a phone call through. Tim was alive. He was walking down the stairs of the South Tower.
You pick up the phone, and it's Tim. What did he say to you?
I finally got him on the phone, and I said, Tim, get away from there as far as you can get, as fast as you can get away.
It was a very calming phone call. It certainly helped me to just settle my nerves.
The thing that I remember so much, that's just right in the focus of my mind, is his description of going down and the firemen going up into 2,000 degrees. The firemen, the policemen, the emergency people, the heroes, just an incredible, incredible sacrifice, literally, of their lives.
One of those emergency personnel was about to save Coughlin's son. As Tim reached the ground floor, his instinct was to head outside the building at his first opportunity, which was the building's front plaza. But instead, a Port Authority policewoman directed him through a more complicated route. Just a few minutes later, the South Tower collapsed onto the plaza where Tim had initially been headed.
She knew, you could tell, she knew what was going on. And the scary part is that this woman had a building dumped on top of her, and that's the part I have a hard time dealing with at times. You know, why this person is so courageous and so brave and is literally standing there to save your life.
I don't know who the lady was, but she's responsible for the saving of my son's life. I'm so grateful, and we should always respect the families of those that perished in this terrible tragedy.
It's been 10 years. How often do you out loud say thank you for the fact that Tim is still alive?
Every night. Hands and knees every night.
Wow, he can understand that. And Coughlin is also proud of his personal involvement, traveling to Iraq along with other NFL head coaches to witness, as he says, that particular battle against terrorism firsthand. Ceremonies to remember 9/11 across the country, and particularly powerful images from New York City. The memorial is strong yet heartbreaking. President Obama, former President Bush on hand. Perspective on the day as coaches recall the day football came back, forging a sense of patriotism.
Nobody was sure when football would be resumed, just to know what impact 9/11 would have on the rest of the country.
What is courage? What is honor?
65,000 people, and they all stand and honor America and the people who've died for our country. You know, that's something special.
I did question if it was right at the time. I think that game, after it was over, I was able to move forward.
We felt like by playing the games, when we played them, that we could kind of give people a little bit of relief. And you know, I think that's what took place.
Wednesday Night Baseball, live on ESPN America. The Monster Sluggers of the AL Central have it all to play for, as Paul Konerko and the Chi Sox hope to tame Cabrera and the Tigers. Tigers at White Sox, Wednesday at 2000 CET, live on ESPN America.
Burt in little trouble. Now they loop it in. That's right. Nobody's home. Picked off by Miller. Gores ahead. Lane's on the other wing. He bangs. Oh! Yeah! Sent it in, Jerome! Ripped it down.
No reason for a technical foul. Just inferior equipment and superior body strength.
We're gonna be a while, folks.
I think you're going to see one of the great players, CJ. Unbelievable backcourt kid. He may score points like Maravich did.
Look at the explosiveness of Chris Jackson to the hoop.
A little dipsy-do. Oh, fade back, baby. CJ, you got it, kid.
Chris Jackson way up into the air. He has 24.
Oh, would you give me a break?
That's 42. Jackson has 53, but Pistol Pete has to be smiling down on what's happening here tonight.
Villanova facing top-ranked Connecticut, trying to keep their 70-game win streak alive and take it to 71. Taurasi from the elbow. Julie. Oh, man, the kid is tough. Mix kicking out, Druckenmiller for three, and she's nailed a few of those tonight. And needs a quick shot. Taurasi wide open for the three, and Villanova has won this game. Villanova upsetting the top team in the land and ending the nation's longest winning streak.
I'm Michael Kim. Coming up tomorrow on SportsCenter, we have complete coverage of the opening Sunday of the NFL season. The Steelers and the Ravens waste no time rekindling their rivalry. Plus, Tony Romo and the Cowboys take on the Jets. The Yankees and Red Sox continue their fight for the AL East title. Plus, the Phillies and the Brewers go head-to-head in what could be an NLCS preview. All this and much more tomorrow on SportsCenter.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown. Some notable inactives today already. The Eagles have deactivated quarterback Vince Young, and the Texans have deactivated running back Arian Foster, which means Derek Ward will start and Ben Tate will share some carries. Boom.
All right, Adam, thank you very much. Well, nobody, as we all remember, had a winning record last season in the NFC West as Seattle swooped in at 7-9 in Pete Carroll's first season to win it. They made the most of their home playoff game when they ousted the reigning Super Bowl champion Saints, thanks to a run that you'll be seeing for years to come on the highlights by Marshawn Lynch. Matt Hasselbeck was the quarterback then, but he's gone to Tennessee, leaving only 10 players from the Seahawks of 2009. Tavares Jackson and his wideout Sidney Rice came over from Minnesota to Seattle. Seattle's at San Francisco today, 6-10. They fired Mike Singletary, you remember, and while Alex Smith remains a quarterback, former longtime NFL QB Jim Harbaugh comes in as coach. He's already a Bay Area hero, having turned around Stanford, including beating Carroll at USC twice, once when the Cardinals were a 40-point underdog. He's one of new 8 coaches from last year's season openers, is Jim Harbaugh. Now, the 49ers obviously had a pretty good run once upon a time. A guy named Bill Walsh, I think he knew what he was doing, Hall of Famer, and George Seifert followed. Together, the two of them won 5 Super Bowls. Now, Steve Mariucci certainly had success there, but Dennis Erickson and Mike Nolan and Mike Singletary in one game last year, Jim Tomsula, who, by the way, is on Harbaugh's staff. That's the nod. You know, they're pretty good players then in those 80s and 90s as well, but that's what's happened since. So maybe Jim Harbaugh can turn things around, Morton, Adam, the way he did at Stanford and at U San Diego. I mean, does San Francisco love those ex-Ditka players, Harbaugh, Singletary? Where's Bob Avellini, coach? Never mind. Who's heading into the right direction in the coaching ranks or the wrong one?
Well, Boom, in the AFC, the coach under the most pressure right now would have to be Jack Del Rio, who made the questionable, controversial call this week to go with Luke McCown at quarterback over David Garrard, and the timing of that. Wayne Weaver, the Jaguars owner, has said it's playoffs or he doesn't keep his job. That in and of itself, Mort, has to put some pressure on Del Rio.
And an NFC coach under pressure, everybody will say Tom Coughlin of the Giants, but how about Andy Reid of the Philadelphia Eagles? Even though he's had 10-win seasons in 12 years, you are coaching the dream team. I texted him about this saying he might be the hot seat guy, and he sent me back a text saying, I love it. Now, you want some spice, as Boomer alluded to? How about Pete Carroll against Jim Harbaugh? This well-documented rivalry goes back to USC Stanford, and when Stanford beat Carroll's USC powerhouse 55-21, a late 2-point conversion led to a handshake exchange in which Carroll asked Harbaugh, what's your deal? And Harbaugh replied, what's your deal? All right, they're not enemies, but it is not necessarily a friendly rivalry either.
More, keep in mind in the background, there are 3 notable coaches sitting on the sideline waiting to come back at some point in time. Bill Cowher, Jeff Fisher, John Gruden, all would have varying degrees of interest in returning to the NFL next season. But on the first Sunday of the season, every NFL coach feels some type of pressure.
Welcome, my friend, to the real deal. You dreamed it, now live it. And see how it feels. These are men, and you have to mold them, motivate them, and make them win. Good luck.
Starts with College Game Day, Saturday at 1500 CET, live on ESPN America.
CNBC, business media partner of Moreeeee Virgin Racing.
For Roberta Mancino, life's only worth living when it's being risked. The 29-year-old Italian's among the world's top female adventure athletes. She makes her living cheating death.
No. I just think about way to do cool things that I would love to do. So, and try to don't get killed.
Mancino's never been like everybody else. Even her looks set her apart.
I don't want to just be beautiful. I want to have something more.
If it's high enough, you'll jump.
Yes, if it's high enough, I will jump.
She's so little and she's so sweet and she's so pretty, and you would never imagine that she would be this like monster.
Mancino's boyfriend is Jeb Corliss, an extreme sports icon. Since meeting Corliss last year, Mancino has gone extreme. She's been jumping in a wingsuit, which mimics the webbed arms of a flying squirrel, approximating flight.
She's gone from something that was relatively safe to the most cutting edge. I mean, literally on the brink of what can be done by people right now.
Nice!
Winning is not a sometime thing, it's an all-the-time thing. You don't win once in a while, and you don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit. It is and always has been an American seal, and that's to be first, regardless of what we do. And to win, and to win, and to win. But I firmly hold that a man's finest hour is that moment when he's worked his heart out in a good cause and lays exhausted on the field of battle, victorious.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Two collegiate quarterback heroes from the Lone Star State hook horns these days in Ohio. It is Cincinnati 4-12 at Cleveland 5-11 as rookie Andy Dalton from TCU starts while Carson Palmer stays retired for now from the Bengals. Since he fell far from a division title a year ago, and they have less reality TV shows now that T.O. and Chad Ochocinco have moved along. For the Browns, it's Colt McCoy from Texas, who started 8 games last season as a rookie QB. His new coach is Pat Shurmur. His new offense is West Coast, early West Coast, which club president Mike Holmgren may know a thing or two about. Susie, a standoff of sorts in Cincinnati, isn't there?
You're right. And also, wouldn't it just be great for football to have these two franchises come back, you know, like the beginning of it all, where it all started, and to be back? But we also want to take a moment to acknowledge this area and the new home of another new show on ESPN2. 5 nights a week, Chris and I will be on the show each night, joined by a couple of guest analysts. We're just going to have fun and talk football. We want it to be very interactive, and we want it to be a voice for fans, and also a voice for players. So let's spin that back.
Maybe a coach or a former coach occasionally, too.
If you'd like to call in, we'd love it.
I'm happy to do so.
Carson Palmer, in all of this, is the person we haven't heard from. So what's his future?
Yeah, the public hasn't heard from Carson Palmer, but he did make it clear to Mike Brown, the owner of the Cincinnati Bengals, and Marvin Lewis, the head coach, that he wanted a fresh start, even though he has 4 years left on his contract. He's bypassing $11.5 million this year, wants a fresh start. He has been working out with Ken O'Brien, former Jet, under some quarterback tutelage there, just in case something happens and they do decide to change their minds and trade him before that trade deadline the Tuesday after the 6th week. But right now, Coach, the Bengals have said no go.
And that's the key, changing their minds. If you're in their position, you're Mike Brown, you're Marvin Lewis, what would you do?
I'm with Mike Brown. You can't let players shoot their way out of any place. All of the other players on the team have agents, and every one of those agents is watching what Mike Brown does in this situation. And if you let him out, you're going to have a parade of players do that periodically. Now, a story that happened to me years ago, my good friend Ron Wolf had just taken the job at the Green Bay Packers as a general manager. And he had a very, very good and valuable tight end named Keith Jackson, who was in a similar situation here, contract dispute, threatening. Wolf called me up. He says, Bill, you know, I'm going to trade this guy. I said, Ron, I think it'd be a good idea if you kept him, because if you trade him, you're going to have about 5 or 6 more in next year. He kept him, called me back a few years later, said, hey, that was the best piece of advice I've gotten.
Didn't you trade Keyshawn Johnson for 2 first-round draft picks?
I did.
You let him talk his way out?
I didn't let him shoot his way out.
Dangerous to set a trend. NFL 32 debuts this Tuesday, 6 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2, and Chris and I will be here 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. ESPN2.
Coming up.
Let's go! Let's go!
Tony Romo returns.
The Dallas Cowboys! Go out here and prove it today!
But are the Cowboys ready to get back in the saddle? And
Jay Cutler, courage or lack thereof? The Superfan weighs in, coming up on Sunday, NFL Countdown. The Bears.
Monday Night Football live on ESPN America. Get ready for some football with a Monday Night Double Dip. First, Brady and the Patriots head south to take on Jake Long and the Dolphins. Then, Jason Campbell and the Raiders head to the Mile High City to battle the Broncos. It all starts tomorrow at 2300 CET with Monday Night Countdown. Monday Night Football live on ESPN America, home of the NFL.
CNBC, business media partner of Moreeeee Virgin Racing.
Arranged in a staircase pattern, Wipeout's iconic big balls are made of PVC and Cordura fabric. They're 6 feet in diameter and spaced 4 feet apart. To better understand the physics of the big balls, I'm gonna try them myself. I'm ready to wipe out.
Go!
Upon impact, my body weight compresses the ball, reducing its volume, therefore increasing the pressure inside the ball. This increased pressure causes the ball to return to its original state, creating a propulsive force in an equal and opposite direction. The trick is to convert that force into the right balance of both vertical and horizontal momentum. A trick I couldn't manage.
For ESPN Sports Science, I'm John Brinkus.
opportunity we got here.
Javid Best, the lone back. On the ground again. Best, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Got it to Best for Brew. Best at the 40, 35, 30, 25, 20. 15, Best, 10, 5, end zone. Touchdown, Detroit Lions. That is a big playability, Brandy, that this team has not had since Barry.
And poise and understand who's that quarterback. It's not Peyton Manning. He has to help the quarterback out, has to help the rest of the team.
Pittsburgh at Baltimore, Chris, and there's Hines Ward, so dangerous.
You're talking about late in his career, Boom. He has a lot of young receivers on the outside, so look for Pittsburgh to use him more exclusively in the slot. Also, he's a prominent blocker in the run game. Pittsburgh running the ball, Hines Ward playing good football.
Coach in Chicago, Jay Cutler, after a stormy, championship game. Now they're hosting Atlanta.
Well, you know what? I'm not going to pick on Jay Cutler. You know what? He knows what he has to do. You've got to cut down the interception. You've got to get rid of the football, read the defense, don't take so many sacks. He's got to understand. I'm not going to pick on him. This kid has done some good things in the last 4 years. I hope he does the good instead of the bad, but he's got to prove it. He's the only one that can do it.
Philly opens up in St. Louis, then they go to Atlanta, but two fast tracks for some fast guys on offense like Deshaun Jackson. How much can they stretch the field on Sunday? We'll see in a while. We'll be back.
Coming up.
I wasn't saying that Joe Flacco's a bad quarterback. No, I just said he's not going to win a Super Bowl.
The bad blood keeps boiling over.
If the question was asked to me about whether the Steelers are ever going to win the Super Bowl again, I would say no, they're not.
We dive deep into the Ravens-Steelers rivalry. But there's still one fan who wants to weigh in.
This is not the look you want, Gilligan. You want to be more like the skipper.
Oh, dream team.
The quote heard around the NFL.
If they can get past the Green Bay Packers, then they'll be in Indianapolis.
But can the Eagles live up to the label? Next.
Hey, Ovi.
Hey, what's up?
What are you doing in the dark, man?
Nothing, just the late night filings.
Really? Late night filing? What are you, a Russian spy or something?
Yeah, right.
All right, I'll catch you later.
Yeah, see ya. Пронесло. Да уж, чуть не спалили.
SportsCenter, weekday mornings at 0700 CET, live on ESPN America.
When you think of the Atlanta Falcons, two names come to mind. Matt Ryan and Roddy White, standing 6 feet tall and weighing 212 pounds. White combines speed, strength, and ball skills to cause headaches for defenders. In 2010, White passed Andre Rison to move into third place on the Falcons' all-time receiving yards list. With all of their success in 2010, keep an eye out for White and the defending NFC South champion Atlanta Falcons in 2011.
Welcome back to Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
This hour on Sunday NFL Countdown. The Eagles made a big splash in free agency.
A dream team.
We're live in St. Louis to find out if Philly can live up to the hype. And the lockout gave Kenny some time to travel the globe.
Sweet Ireland, I've arrived!
Find out if the rest of the world is catching football fever in the main event.
We found ourselves a left guard.
Coming up next.
Well, even the professor there knows that Steelers-Ravens is a pretty good deal here. Last year, they played 3 times. Joe Flacco, T.J. Houshmandzadeh, and the Ravens have the lead, and Ray Lewis secured it with a pick of Charlie Batch. They win 17-14 while Ben sat. Big Ben back, broke his nose in Week 13. Joe Flacco back at Troy Polamalu broke the Ravens' hearts. Tommy showed you the play. They recovered. Big Ben, Isaac Redman, Steelers win it 13-10. And then this play, after the Ravens led 21-7 in the Ben Antonio Brown, the comeback complete with Mendenhall with a touchdown. 31-24. There's just so much to show from those games. And, I mean, it's only opening Sunday, but here is a game that should go a long way in deciding the AFC North and points beyond. Pittsburgh has Baltimore's number, and the Ravens don't like it, or the Steelers. But that's okay. The feeling is mutual in the Steel City. As ESPN.com's Greg Garber reports, you buckle your seatbelts for this one twice, if not 3 times a season.
Probably the most physical game you'll probably ever play because there's no secrets.
It's always a game of who can bully who and who gonna hit hardest and longest.
Ravens. Steelers.
Win on 3. 1, 2, 3, win!
The fiercest, most ferocious rivalry in today's NFL.
The guys always talking about Purple Week. You know, that's the week that we go in.
The Ravens rivalry is probably the most important game that we play. I mean, we always say that the next game is the most important, but you always have Baltimore circled on your schedule.
Everybody has a little tight, so to say. It's a big attention to detail. You know, this is the game you don't want to lose.
The rivalry reached its boiling point in 2008 on a Monday night in Pittsburgh when Steelers' first-year running back Rashard Mendenhall sent a text to fellow rookie Ray Rice of Baltimore, saying he was going to have a big game against the Ravens defense. Then Ravens linebacker Bart Scott took advantage of Mendenhall's boast to motivate his defense.
I went in there and I just started saying, hey man, Mendenhall came in talking about he gonna run us over, man. He ain't got no respect for us.
What people don't really realize is I kind of made a lot of that stuff up. He did say that, but he didn't mean it that way. But I felt like my guys needed an opportunity to be ramped up and get pissed.
Sorry, Mendenhall.
If you didn't see the play, you heard it. And it was one of the loudest hits I've ever heard in my NFL career.
Ray came downhill, and that's the one guy that you don't really want to get pissed off. He wanted to teach a young boy a lesson, and I think he did.
We're going belly to belly, we're going to play football. Ray Lewis loves that kind of game. He filled the gap and made the play.
Anytime you can break somebody's shoulders, from one hit, I mean, that's pretty harsh.
I just noticed I didn't see the kid no more that game or that year.
The hardest hit I've seen, I say, would have to be James Harrison, and he hit Ed Reed, and the ball went like 30 yards in the air.
Ball out!
Ryan Clark, when he hit Willis McGahee.
Throws a post pattern and deep clean of the ball.
It's hard to describe a hit like that. McGahee caught the ball, and as soon as he turned around, Ryan Clark was right there and knocked him out. I looked down at him, and he had the dark visor on, and his eyes was open.
After the brutal collision, Clark and McGahee lay motionless for several minutes. McGahee suffered a concussion that kept him overnight in a hospital.
It was a scary moment, but it was definitely a good hit.
Down goes Roethlisberger, drilled by Bart Scott at the 5-yard line.
I was able to catch Ben with, I think, the cleanest shot I've ever got in my life.
After a Ravens game, I usually can't get around as nice as I want to until that Thursday the following week.
Pittsburgh has dominated the rivalry, winning 6 of the last 8 contests against Baltimore. Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco has never beaten the Steelers' Ben Roethlisberger. This summer, Lamar Woodley declared that Flacco would never win a Super Bowl.
I personally think the man zipped up his mouth and started talking out of his because we were bored during the lockout.
They're asking me, a guy that's in the same division as a quarterback like Flacco, do you see Flacco ever winning a Super Bowl? So if I say yeah, that's kind of counting us out that year of not going to the playoffs or not going to the Super Bowl.
If the question was asked to me about whether the Steelers are ever going to win the Super Bowl again, I would say no, they're not. Because I'm going to assume that we're going to be there in the playoffs every year, and they're going to have to go through us.
I wasn't saying that Joe Flacco's a bad quarterback. I just said he's not going to win a Super Bowl as long as Pittsburgh Steelers here, because I plan on going to the Super Bowl every year.
It kind of had the edge of us the past couple of years, but we're looking to end that this year.
All right, Greg, thank you again. An old-fashioned 1 o'clock game. It's almost like you got to adjust the TV antenna to pick it up in your market. So what wins this game this time, week 1, Tommy?
Well, boom, football is set up by down and distance, and you have to have good first down yardage. And I think that the Ravens have to run the ball a little bit better. 3 games last year, including the playoffs, 49 yards a game. That doesn't get it done. Key, if they can give me 70 yards, let's see how that works.
Well, CC, you talk about it all the time about the way you have to control football games. To some degree, I think that the Baltimore Ravens definitely have to control this game. It's going to fall in the hands of the offensive coordinator, Cam Cameron. He has to be able to understand what he's doing and not get caught up so much in battling Dick LeBeau for who's the best coordinators, because if you look at that play that you continue to keep showing on Troy Polamalu, hand the football to Ray Rice, instead you dialed up a pass play, it cost you the football game.
Well, you don't see a lot of highlights of this part of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that's their wide receiving core. Antonio Brown, Mike Wallace, Hines Ward, primarily in the slot at this stage of his career. Jericho Cotchery injured this week, but will be a big part. I believe they have tremendous matchups against Baltimore's secondary. Ben's ability to buy time in the pocket, to let these young flyers get down the football field. I believe their receiving core now is as good as it's been in Pittsburgh for a long, long time. Coach Parcells, what do you think?
Chris, I agree with you on that receiving matchup. I think the main thing you see is that Pittsburgh getting a little old. They have 5, 6, or 7 guys on defense that are really getting up there age-wise. And, you know, someday the shoe's going to drop, so to speak. The key thing, I think, versus the Steelers is to be able to get to throw the ball, number one, and your best chance to do that when I think their coverage is a little more conservative and a little more vulnerable is on first down. Now, you have to block their outside rushers, but first down's a time to attack them. If you get 3rd and long, then they are a dangerous ball-hawking team that can hurt your quarterback and strip the ball and get interceptions.
Well, these teams are so evenly matched. They know each other. They know everything each other. They don't like each other. We talk about all. We saw the game ended last year. Polamalu makes a great play, changes the whole game. This game is going to come down to, I think, a special teams play. I don't know if it'll be a block kick. It could be anything in return, but it's going to come down to something special. These are two good football. You know, we're talking about, well, they're not. These are good teams.
Right. They're both 12-4 last year, but we are looking. You know, both offensive lines. I mean, if you look at the entire team, they are a work in progress. Baltimore, you pointed out earlier, there's a bunch of new players, and then Pittsburgh is a question against these defenses. Yeah. So does either of these lines have a really rough day? That might be the difference in this game. Adam Schefter, defending AFC champion Steelers, were not as quiet in the offseason as many teams were in the 4.5-month lockout, huh?
Boom, for the second straight offseason, it was a busy and bumpy ride for the defending AFC champions. You look at what happened with Pittsburgh in May. Rashard Mendenhall ignited a Twitter controversy expressing disapproval at the celebrations that followed the death of Osama bin Laden. In July, Hines Ward was arrested and charged with driving under the influence in Georgia. And then this past summer, Men's Journal published an interview with James Harrison in which he attacked Commissioner Roger Goodell and criticized some of his teammates. And so the first thing that Pittsburgh Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin did on the first day of training camp was he assembled his team and told them to be very careful about what they say publicly. And since then, the Steelers have stayed out of trouble, but it won't be long before everybody would rush to criticize them if anything ever happened again, Boom.
Well, another thing that Pittsburgh, and I'm sure that they were talking about, was, you know, they won the Super Bowl in 2005, they won it in 2008, but after those 2 seasons, they missed the playoffs. So after being in the Super Bowl last year, they don't want to see that happen 3 straight times. Kerry Collins, quarterback, Indianapolis Colts, as Peyton Manning sits. Goes back to Penn State with then Nittany Lion assistant Jim Caldwell. Was the first ever draft pick by Bill Polian for the 95 expansion Panthers, now reunited in 2011 with the Indianapolis Colts. It wasn't a plan, but the Colts knew that the news surrounding Peyton Manning wasn't coming together the way everybody had hoped.
Manning, who never fully healed from neck surgery 4 months ago.
I'm a little behind schedule due to the lockout. I really don't see myself playing in the preseason.
The team has agreed to terms with Kerry Collins.
I'll be down if we go open doors for somebody else and just drop our heads on who we already have. We're not really considered a vanilla offense.
I'll be ready. I've made so much progress here just in the last week. I don't think you can count him out. It'd be very surprising not to see him in there day one.
I have made progress, but I still have work to do.
The Colts will turn to Kerry Collins for Sunday's opener in Houston.
assistant.
I have been doing this for a long time, and I guarantee that I will bust my butt to get ready to play this week.
It took me about 3 years to learn his offense, and he's somehow learning in about 3 weeks.
It's going to be a little different playing without Peyton. He'll be back at some point in time.
Colts quarterback Peyton Manning out indefinitely after having a third neck surgery.
He had, in essence, a nerve regeneration issue. There is absolutely no timetable for it.
Sources telling ESPN's Chris Mortensen minimum recovery time 2 to 3 months, and that is best case scenario.
We always kind of prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Well, Peyton Manning by the numbers. First time in 6,196 days that Peyton won't start in a meaningful game for his team. September 24th, 94, he was an 18-year-old freshman at Tennessee when that happened. During Manning's streak, the Bears started 17 different quarterbacks, coach, the most of any team. All told, 196 different QBs have started a regular season game during the streak. That's unbelievable. Colts 141 against and 67 losses since Manning joined the team. Only the Patriots have won more during that run. And more on Manning now. Are the Colts looking at other options as we move forward now that they know that Peyton is gone for at least the majority this year?
Well, Boom, obviously it's Kerry Collins for now, but doctors do believe it's going to take that 2 to 3 months for this vertebrae to fuse and then the nerve regeneration process to progress. Now, no one can make a perfect forecast, but the optimism is there for at least the 2012 season. But get this, Colts Vice Chairman Bill Polian spoke by phone Saturday with Manning. He happened to be calling from Durham, North Carolina, where he got a personal view of Stanford quarterback Andrew Luck against Duke. And yes, Polian was able to visit with his son Brian, Stanford's special team coordinator, and Polian told me, don't make too big a deal out of it. I got to look at a lot of players, got to see his son, and he said one game today will not decide our season.
All right, Mortimer, this is an interesting one. Kerry Collins now starts for his 6th different team. It's the second highest total in history. Gus Frerotte, and that's hello, started for 7 different teams, and Chris Chandler, Super Bowl quarterback Atlanta, started for 7 different teams. Kerry, Vinny, that's not a surprise, Bill, Steve Berline, and then one of our favorites, Steve DeBerg, of whom Bill Walsh once said he kept both teams in the game. We love Bergie, Tommy, your old teammate. Susie, Bill, Merrill, how quickly can Collins pick up the Colts offense?
Think of what this is like for Clyde Christensen, the offensive coordinator for the Colts, because he was used to so much input from Peyton. He'd be texting him at 1 a.m. How about this? You know, and we see Peyton at the line and all this movement. How complex is the offense really for Kerry to pick up?
Well, I don't think it's extremely complex. You know, what the Colts are with Peyton Manning under center or in the shotgun is they're an execution offense. That's why they don't motion or shift. Peyton wants people to line up, then defense, show your cards, and then I'm going to get a play that's going to favor my offense. That's what he is so great at. But if you back up to about 7, 8 years ago, there was an element and phase of this offense where they did a lot of run action, where that stretch play, where Peyton would sell it. Sometimes he'd hand it off, or sometimes he'd throw from that. Kerry Collins can do all these things. All of the other passing things that go along with it, he can do those things. Now, is he going to stand up there and bark out signals and give him the right play? No. But there's a majority of their offense they can still run under Kerry Collins.
I agree with Merrill there. I think on the face, this offense is pretty simple. When you look at the film, 6 or 7 running plays, only a couple of formations. They have a couple of blitz beaters they use. 10 or 12 major passes. I don't think that's the problem. Learning the runs, learning the pass. I think that's simple. But as Merrill said, getting the team to the right play in the right situation, that's where Manning's experience came into play, and this is where the learning process is going to be for Collins. I think it's difficult to get the right matchup all the time when you really don't have a lot of experience with those things.
And we always say, practice the way you play, and that's where it all starts for those guys too, because Manning was the voice in practice when they were in that offensive part of practice, that he was really running things. And Chris, often Reggie Wayne would say he would rather have a coach yell at him than Peyton. He can be tough on everybody.
Yeah, he can. Thanks, Suze. Fellas, more than 13 years ago, Peyton's streak in the NFL of 227 straight starts began September 6, 98. On that day, Saints coach Mike Ditka beat the Rams 24-17 on the road. Good job. Key, 9 catches for $126 and 2 scores. Overtime, Candlestick, Garrisonhurst 96.
Went to the game clean, guaranteed.
And Chris caught 2 TDs for the Vikes in their win over the Bucs. So, I mean, this is a good time. Where were Tom and I talking about Peyton's NFL debut? Actually, Manning's numbers are better than Leaf's. Leaf wins the game. How do we rate these guys in their first game?
I think they both had some bright spots, but there are no quick ways to success in the NFL as a rookie quarterback. You're going to face some coverages that you have not seen, some blitz packages that will put a little fear into you. You have to keep getting up and making things happen.
Come here, man. Let me pencil that mustache. What was that?
Look. It's all right.
Errol
It's all
Flynn.
good.
Hey, I didn't look great either.
All good.
Mort, Adam, bail us out of this. Mort was here then, too, by the way. Shefty very early in his days as a scoopmeister. Who's in and who's out?
Well, Boom, Mort once had a mustache just like Tom's there, so that's kind of interesting. But anyway, aside
better than that.
Arian Foster, the Texans running back, officially inactive today due to the hamstring injury. The Texans will start Derek Ward, but also rotate in Ben Tate, and they will go with the running back who's hottest. So it could be Tate, it could be Ward, but we do know no Foster.
And Tennessee Titans running back Chris Johnson missed most of training camp because of his contract holdout, but he will start the day. They're hoping to get 15 to 20 touches out of him. Javon Ringer's backup is not ready to go. He's injured, so Jamie Harper, a rookie, will be the backup behind Chris Johnson. And then for the Kansas City Chiefs, quarterback Matt Castle was one of 4 starters to get hurt in the final preseason game with a shoulder injury. But remember, this guy came back after an appendectomy 11 days a year ago, so therefore he is starting, but his backup is Tyler Palko.
Mort, the Giants thought Steve Smith would have to start the season on the physically unable to perform list. He signed with Philadelphia, and the Eagles have him as active today. So Steve Smith is a go for Philadelphia. The Eagles also deactivated their first-round pick, Danny Watkins, and the Atlanta Falcons, who recently added safety James Sanders and cornerback Kelvin Hayden, will play both today. They're active, and both are expected to play extensively against Jay Cutler and the Chicago Bears.
Week 1 is it's probably one of the best weeks.
It's an exciting one.
We're gonna rewrite the Chicago sports history book, and we're gonna be in it.
It's live, it's real, everything counts.
Nobody wants to start off the season with a loss.
You're making your way towards your goal, and that is winning a championship.
Get ready. I'm sorry. Jay Cutler getting ready. You remember that song, right, Key? Come on now. Cutler, that's a good game. Falcons and Bears, 8 1 o'clock games is awfully intriguing on many counts. The 11-5 Chicago Bears hosted the NFC title game last season, while the 13-3 Atlanta Falcons were the conference's top seed. Both, of course, fell to the Packers. Today, they get to commiserate at Soldier Field, which Atlanta rarely visits, and they've dropped 5 in a row there. The 3-year marriage of coach Mike Smith and quarterback Matt Ryan at Atlanta has netted a 33-13 return in the regular season. Can the Falcons make a postseason move? Well, the general manager, Thomas Dimitroff, made an awfully bold move, you may remember, in the draft, trading way up for wide receiver Julio Jones. The Falcons had an 0-4 preseason. Not sure what that means. We'll see Jones today. In Chicago, every offseason discussion seemed to begin and end with Jay Cutler's championship game performance or lack thereof. Starting today, he can do something about it. To the Windy City, and our newcomer to Sunday NFL Countdown, Justina Anderson. Welcome again, Justina.
Well, the Falcons are all set to unveil their new toy and rookie wide receiver Julio Jones and a more explosive offense. This after just completing 6 passes for 40 yards or more all of last season. So Jones's main job is to stretch the field. But Lovie Smith tells me he has no fear about this because, quote, I've got the best athlete in the NFL in Julius Peppers and the second best run defense from last season. And speaking of rushing, Smith said he'd be happy to keep Michael Turner under 3 yards per carry today. But Turner told me in response he's expecting 60-plus friends and family for his first professional game in his hometown of Chicago, and, quote, I can't come home for a loss.
A lot of tickets at Dole. That's expensive to get 60 tickets at Soldier Field.
You better believe it.
Yeah, I know that.
Not the beer.
Right?
Brats, the beer, what do you got? A lot.
Here's the issue, though, in this game. I mean, Atlanta is certainly very capable. But can Jay Cutler overcome that image that everybody saw, Key?
I think it's going to be difficult in Chicago, and we used to say the same thing about Eli Manning, body language until he won a Super Bowl. He would have to win a Super Bowl, but Eli Manning has Tom Coughlin, the coach who's going to get on his butt, scream in his face, kind of get him under control. I think Lovie Smith is not that guy to do this with Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler will throw the ball away and go to the sideline and kind of just, nobody really says anything to him. You have to have somebody like Coach Ditka, Coach Parcells, Coughlin, with this type of quarterback. You know, as long as that continues to happen, Tom, I don't see it going anywhere.
Look, pluses, minuses. Jay Cutler got sacked 57 times, so I don't question his courage. But when you're the quarterback of an NFL team, the leadership that you have to show, inspiring the guys around you, you know, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Rivers, Breeze, any of them, you think about them, they inspire their teammates. Now, if you're selling shoes, you don't have to do that. But if you're a quarterback of a football team, then you have to make the effort to make people around you better, and that's where I have the big question about Jay Cutler.
But that old saying, lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way. You can't be a leader if you're only a reactor. Now, what he's got to do, I think the only thing, he's got to get some enthusiasm. I mean, just get excited about the opportunity that you are the quarterback of the Chicago Bears, and you've got a chance to take these guys to the playoff. Get pumped up. Go crazy once in a while. Now, I don't know the diabetic thing. I don't. Maybe that's why he doesn't do it. I don't know.
Unfortunately, Coach, you are who you are. And he has to be.
That's 22.
I mean, he has to be who he is. And the guys on the team are only going to respect him with his characteristics. He's out there jumping around and stuff, and guys know that's not his personality. They're not going to respect it. But ultimately, it comes down to this. It's about winning. They had home field advantage, all right? They were only down by 2 touchdowns to the Green Bay Packers. The Green Bay Packers were the wild card team. They went on to the Super Bowl. So does he have a chance in Chicago? Yep. If he wins and gets them to the Super Bowl and they win? Absolutely.
CC, he has said on record, I don't care what anybody thinks.
You can't say that though as a quarterback.
Yes, that includes a lot of people. That includes a lot. Just think about it. That includes a lot of people.
I'm told that in the locker room, it's not an issue that everyone else is making it. I mean, and I'll take that to be true. It is year 2 of he and Mike Martz, but of course Martz's offense is well documented. You're going to have a lot of sacks. You're going to throw some picks, and so we'll see. It works, but I'm told in the locker room it's okay. Now look, everybody has weighed in on this thing, except for one guy who really cares.
Welcome to opening day for the Bears. I'm Bill Swirsky, sitting in for my brother T-Bone, who's recovering from yet another heart attack. Today we're coming to you from Ditka's Pork Emporium in Chicago, IL. Duh, Coach.
You wanted that much?
As is our tradition, we are dining on the mascot of the opposing team. Today, we're enjoying fricassee of falcon on a bed of luxurious lard, topped off with one of Coach Ditka's tomahawk steaks. C'est magnifique, Chef Ditka. Well, the White Sox did their job. They got us through the football season, with the Cubs, as always, providing the comedy. Well done, boys. Now it's time for Jay Cutler to do his job and redeem himself from the debacle that was last year's championship game for all the marbles. That's right, all the marbles. The superfans have never recognized the legitimacy of the AFL. Some have questioned Jay Cutler's courage.
If I'm Chicago, I'm going to Cutler right now. You got to get back in.
Jay, we all know you're tough.
Jay was hurt. I don't question his toughness.
But you gotta look tough, too. This is not the look you want, Gilligan. You want to be more like the skipper. Like the great and wonderful Wizard of Oz. Jay Cutler, I bestow upon you courage. Now let's get out there and kick some butt. Final score, Bears 1, Atlanta nothing. The Bears.
George Swirsky.
He's awesome. What a meal you guys serve there.
That steak is pretty interesting.
I didn't know you could wave it up in your head.
That's called a tomahawk or something. It's got a long bone on it.
Let's go eat there. Let's go. What do we?
Well, we got to get to Chicago, guys, or Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I want in Pittsburgh.
I know. Well, we're expanding to Bristol.
Hey, just great promotion.
Love you, Coach.
Anybody want a card?
Duh, Coach. Duh, Skipper. Adam and Mort. How about duh, new rules?
Well, if you talk about the Bears and Devin Hester, the most controversial new rule, of course, was the new kickoff rule. Instead of kicking off from the 30, it's kicking off from the 35, and it certainly has shown its impact in the preseason. You can see there were certainly much more touchbacks in the preseason compared to last year. In fact, on Thursday night, there were just 2 touchbacks in Lambeau Field all last year. Thursday night, there were 8, but there was this 108-yard touchdown return by Randall Cobb of the Packers. And in fact, I've spoken to special teams coaches who think because the coverage changes, which means you only get a 5-yard running start, may result in more kicks being taken out of the end zone. Not only was that a long return, but there were 2 returns of 100-plus yards in preseason as well.
Mort, the other notable rule change we'll see this year is that every touchdown will be reviewed after it's scored. We saw it on Thursday night with Devery Henderson once he scored that touchdown, tiptoeing along the sideline. Now, the officials went and reviewed this very quickly, as they will with every touchdown this season, and the goal of this is to take some of the pressure off the coaches who don't have to challenge scoring plays right now. Coaches have to be very happy that every scoring play now will be reviewed this season, Boom.
All right, fellas. Well, a lot of thoughts on the special teams, etc., and a lot of thoughts on a special player. Michael Vick, year 2 in Philadelphia. Eagles are in St. Louis. We said a fast track today and a fast track at Atlanta next week for a team with a lot of kind of track players on offense, and including Mr. Vick right there. Well, no team made more big-time summertime moves than the NFC East champion Philadelphia Eagles, who were 10-6 and the first to fall at home to Green Bay in the postseason, barely. Michael Vick was not the starter. Remember this. At this time last year, he was not. Now he's the face of the franchise with a huge new contract. Out went quarterback Kevin Cobb. In came, just to name some, Nnamdi Asomugha, Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie at corner, Cullen Jenkins on the D-line, Ronnie Brown at running back, Vince Young at backup quarterback, although not today, just to name a few. Their first 2 games are on the road, including today at 7-9 St. Louis. And they're on the rise behind second-year quarterback Sam Bradford. Fast track, as we said, for Philly, so we make fast tracks to our man with the cheesesteak, Sal Paolantonio. Hello, Sal.
Well, good morning, Boomer. As everybody knows, Michael Vick had very well-documented problems with blitz recognition and reaction last season. In 4 of his final 6 games against 5 or more rushers, Michael Vick's completion percentage never went above 48%. So this year, the Eagles are trying something new. Michael Vick will have final say at setting the protection when he gets to the line of scrimmage, something he did not do last season.
That's something we worked hard on, and it's paid dividends for me. I'm excited about where we're at. It has me excited about the season going in. Doing things differently than what I did last year.
We can run an audible versus a route or versus a certain blitz, or we can change the protection. So we've been going through that a lot, and he seems real comfortable with it.
Because it changes, my game in a sense, but still allows me to go out and play the way I like to play.
Despite missing 3 weeks to injury and taking all those hits last year, Vick says he will continue to do what he does on the field, continue his style of play. He may want to be a little bit more cautious today, Boomer. Vince Young is out, not playing today, and Young was brought in as an insurance policy if Vick goes down. If Vick goes down today, it's the unproven Mike Kafka.
Well, I said last year Cobb went down, Vick came in, and it was the start. Thank you, Sal. We might see it a few Eagles games this year. Will the Eagles, one of the big questions of the season, will the Eagles meet expectations, Chris?
Well, this is Andy Reid's most talented team. To me, it's not about the talent. I believe in the coach. I believe the system they run, what they do in the front office is first class, from ownership, the way they target their players, the way they don't sign veteran players to long-term deals, the way they go about their business on a daily basis. And you're telling me that Andy Reid has talent, okay? Forget about the dream. Forget about that, okay? Andy Reid has talent. They're going to win a lot of football games. Now, don't get consumed with them being 13-3, 14-2, because for them, it's about the playoffs. And if they get home field advantage, boom, they can make you happy.
Well, when you talk about expectations for the dream team, we only think about the last dream team. That means getting to at least the Super Bowl and winning it if you fulfill those expectations. I think that the big problem for them fulfilling those expectations is the offensive line. You got 4 new people positioned in different places on that offensive line with a rookie center. The rest of the offense is window dressing for what the meat is, which is your offensive line.
And I think they will meet the expectations. Similar to Green Bay. Green Bay went and pulled some guys off the IR list, but at the same time, Philly went out in free agency and picked up some of their free agent guys to add to that. In addition to Ronnie Brown. Ronnie Brown will help them tremendously in the short yardage, both in the running and in the passing, something that they struggle with on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 in the goal line, boom. So I believe that they will meet.
So you think they're going to the Super Bowl?
I think that Philly, yeah, it'll be them or Green Bay.
The answer to the question, they got to understand what are their expectations, and I think they're the only ones that know that. You said goals. Their goals have to be to win that division and to win one playoff game. Right. To win the first playoff game. That's a little better than they did last year. If they can do that, they can go all the way. Like you say, it's a good football team, and they're going to get more and more confident if they play well.
Good football team with a good coach.
From an X and O standpoint, they match up with Green Bay better than anyone in the NFC. The reason why? Because they can take the 3 wideouts, put those guys in man-to-man coverage, and get after the quarterback.
And then you just saw Cullen Jenkins. They think they improved their pass rush with him. I mean, sure, you can't. 53 spots, whatever they got now on the roster, 46 active for a game. You can't cover everything. Rookie kicker, rookie punter, rookie center, rookie middle linebacker. But aren't you guys excited just as football fans to see Michael Vick in year 2?
Absolutely.
I mean, year 2 with the Eagles.
I'm glad to see a guy take advantage of an opportunity, a second opportunity.
Yes, and the Eagles went for it. It's Andy's 13th year. Why not? Let me go to someone who's built a few football teams in his day, Coach Parcells. Do you like the way that the Eagles have been built?
Chris, I'm not ready to anoint these Eagles yet. I mean, I think they've got real explosive offensive skill players, and I have personally a very high regard for Andy Reid and his ability to get the most out of a team. But when you really take a look at them, I do a little chart, rate the teams 1 to 32, call it a discipline index. And it includes 3 factors: turnovers, sacks, and penalties. And last year's Philadelphia team ranked 31st out of 32. Now you combine that with the fact that their defense in the red zone was in the bottom 20% of the league. I think Philadelphia has a lot of things to fix. Now, coincidentally, the teams at the top of that chart were the Falcons, the Packers, and the Colts. So there's work to be done in Philadelphia. I'm not ready to anoint them yet.
Well, but let's not get, thanks, Coach. Let's not call them a dream team anymore, because that won't be coming out of their locker. That was 1 and out from Vince Young. He was to the office quickly, I think. Speaking of coach of the Eagles, he was a head coach of Philadelphia Eagles, and certainly a longtime NFL coach. Coach Ditka's defensive coordinator in Chicago during that great run, Buddy Ryan. He's battling cancer again at the age of 77. According to his son, Cowboys defensive coordinator Rob Ryan, Buddy has beaten cancer 4 times already, but now has cancer in his glands and his neck. But Buddy has put off surgery until after he attends tonight's face-off between the brothers Ryan, Rob of the Cowboys, and, of course, Rex, his head coach of the New York Jets. The Ryan family tree, of course, Buddy, and head coach of the Eagles, and then here's Rex as head coach of the Jets, and we just told you that Rob was defensive coordinator of the Cowboys. Rex on his twin and their respective defenses.
I think we're fraternal that way. So just like we're fraternal anyway, there's some differences. He's got his own, probably his own trademark of defense, and so do we here.
I mean, it's always special when you play against Rex. His team's going to be well coached, and they got great players over there. So it's going to be an exciting time, and looking forward, for the Cowboys to get after it, and we're going to do great.
Well, that is part of the story. The 11-5 Jets hosting the 6-10 Cowboys tonight. The bigger one, of course, it's the Sunday night in New York on the 10-year anniversary of 9/11. When they get to football at the new Meadowlands, if you will, the Jets will try in year 3 of Rex blaring Super Bowl to make that one more step and win the AFC title game, where, of course, they've been the last 2 seasons. For Dallas, it's the first full season for Coach Jason Garrett, who went 5-3 after placing Wade Phillips. He also has his quarterback, Tony Romo, back in the saddle after Tony's midseason injury. New York knows the value of a passing game, as the saga of wide receiver Plexico Burress becoming a Jet would indicate.
39 seconds to go. Giants down by 4. Manning takes the snap. He's looking for Burress in the end zone. Touchdown Giants! Manning to Burress.
I just had a son and you win a Super Bowl, and I couldn't have been in a better place in my life. Just a one lapse of judgment.
We have just learned that Giants wide receiver Plexico Burress suffered an accidental gunshot wound.
Burress told the Giants he accidentally shot himself.
Burress's injury isn't considered life-threatening.
I think it'd be an outrage if we didn't prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. It makes a sham, a mockery of the law.
I was truthful, I was honest, and I'm truly remorseful for what I've done.
We're not asking for special treatment. We're asking for just basic fairness.
Plexico Burress was indicted today by a New York grand jury on weapons charges. He could face a mandatory minimum sentence of 3.5 years.
I gotta wake up every morning and look at my leg, and I got a hole in my leg, and I'm gotta go to prison for almost killing myself.
When you think about that, your daughter is to be born, and you're gonna be in prison, in all likelihood, what thoughts run through your head?
Breaks my heart.
From Super Bowl hero to a number at Rikers Island.
I think it very well could mean the end of Plexico's career.
It's a beautiful day that I get to be reunited with my family and go home and spend some quality time with them. And as far as football is concerned, I'll be ready.
Burress returning to New York, different team colors, says he's a different person. The Jets, however, hoping same player.
Oh my goodness. So let's go get this guy. Are we crazy?
Looking for Burress. Leaps. He's got it in his hands. It's a touchdown. What a catch over the shoulder by Plexico Burress.
I've been away for 2 years. I just turned 34 and all those things, but none of those things matter to me. So I'm still one of the best out there competing, and I'm not going to stop that mindset now.
Well, who knows what a 2-year layoff and not playing professional football will do. I mean, Michael Vick showed that it can be done, and the Jets are hoping the same. And part of the reason that the Jets want to Plex is because in the red zone, when it comes to passing offense, they rank near the bottom in a lot of categories. He's a big receiver. That if he can do that, that'll be a big plus for the Jets. So, look, Key, is this the year that the Jets make that next step? I mean, 2 straight title games, pretty good. Now what?
Yeah, a lot of people have a problem with their style, the way they play. They don't score enough points on offense, but I think this is the time for them. They remind me a lot of the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens, but they just have to win the division. They have to win the division and make that next step so they can have some home playoff games.
It's a great defensive football team. You've got to take pressure off that defense by scoring points. I went through that with the Bears. You must be able to score points with your offense. You must put the pressure on the other team. Now, here's the thing about Sanchez. He's a 54% completion guy, and that's not enough. The Jets ran the ball more times and for more yardage than any team in football last year.
But, Coach,
I mean, you got to have a great passing game.
Pittsburgh and Baltimore have won a lot of games with the same style.
Well, I'm not knocking the style.
Without scoring a bunch of points.
I think you've got to score more, though. I think you got to get the pressure off the defense. That's what I'm saying. I agree with you.
Well, that would show, and again, this is not to point fingers at one of the best defenses in football, but the fact is, in the 2 championship game losses, the one at Pittsburgh last year, obviously right away, and the one in Indianapolis in the second half, the defense, they're going to have halves against another good team. It doesn't work. Well, it didn't work, and then they don't have enough points in their pocket.
Exactly.
So that's what you're talking about. Well, that's part of the Jet story. Susie, how about them Cowboys?
Yeah, it's a new day for the boys. As you mentioned, they have a new head coach. Jason Garrett was considered interim coach last year. He replaced Wade Phillips after 8 games. They went 5-3. The Cowboys lost some offensive depth in the offseason. Both Marion Barber and Roy Williams went to Chicago. Also gone are 4 of the 5 starters on the offensive line from last year's opener. But they get Tony Romo back under center. He missed the final 10 games last season with a broken collarbone. Well, let's turn to Chris Mortensen. Now, more quarterback back, but maybe cornerback down. What can you tell us about their injury situation?
That's right. Mark Sanchez, plexical burst, and Santonio Holmes as two receivers will get the test. The Cowboys secondary that is already suspect, but will be missing cornerback Terrence Newman, who's out. And then Mike Jenkins, who's questionable with a knee and neck injury, but I'm told has worked the past couple of days, should start. And then on offense, right tackle Tyron Smith, who was their first-round draft pick, has missed practice this week. Will test it, could play, but he's missed a lot of mental reps, and against the Jets, with all they throw at you, that's not a good thing. And then wide receiver Miles Austin, probably to play with a hamstring injury as he goes up along with Des Bryant against Darrelle Revis and Antonio Cromartie in that Jets secondary. Suze?
Chris, the buzzwords in Dallas have been culture change under Garrett, but with Rob Ryan as defensive coordinator, it's more like culture shock. The bottom line is Jerry Jones keeps on making changes, but the impact isn't happening where it should. One playoff win in the last 14 seasons. So all these changes, all this said and done, are they going to be the same old Cowboys?
Well, I don't think so, Susie. You talk about culture change. I want to talk a little bit about game plan change. I'm going to give Coach a scenario here. So you're my head coach, I'm your coordinator, and I'm calling 21 runs a game, and we go 1-7. And we're getting blown out even though we have Tony Romo for some of those games as our quarterback. But the last 8 games where I'm the interim coach, I call 32 runs a game. I balance my offense out, and we go 5-3. What's your thoughts as I go 5-3 and I got your job now?
Well, neither one of those coaches control that situation. Jerry Jones is the one that handles all that. But I don't think the Cowboys have a lot to worry about offensively. Transition on the offensive line. They got one of the best players in football in Jason Witten. They've got firepower outside with Austin and Bryant. They've got a runner with speed that can score, Felix, and Romo's an experienced quarterback. The place I look to Dallas is defense, particularly in the secondary. Their pressure guy is DeMarcus Ware. So if you're an opponent, you say, well, if we could just negate that guy and we can get to throw the ball a little bit, we can exploit what they have in the secondary. And I don't think the other players on Dallas's front are pressure players good enough to negate that weakness.
Yeah, because they come in pairs.
How about linebacker Anthony Spencer admitting this week that at times last year he mailed it in? Watching on tape that,
Well, I think one of the things, too, is attitude. Being a Dallas Cowboy, you can't think about the fact that, boy, I'm a Dallas Cowboy. You got to come out and play a certain game down in the dirt. And that's what I want to see from that defense, the game that's played down in the dirt.
Yeah, even as talented as DeMarcus Ware is, even last year at times he was trying to do too much and played out of position. So, Boom, I don't know, maybe the Cowboys, but who are you thinking?
Well, you can guess one team that I'm always thinking, Sue, is this the year in San Diego? Boom. After a mind-numbing series of special teams errors and road losses, causing the 9-7 Chargers to miss the playoffs, which they don't usually do, they are back re-energized, and when Phillip Rivers' receiving core of Antonio Gates, Vincent Jackson, and Malcolm Floyd start today with Phillip, it'll equal the amount of times they played together last year. Once. Just a quarter, actually. 3 of the Bolts' first 4 games are at home, including today against 6-10 Minnesota, where Leslie Frazier is head coach after going 3-3 replacing Brad Childress. Donovan McNabb starts a youth movement at quarterback for the Vikings. After all, he's 34 and Brett Favre is 41. Oh, by the way, the last 2 times these teams met was in 2007. Adrian Peterson ran for an NFL record 296 yards in a Vikings win. Compared to a year ago, the Vikings are very much under the radar, but never so on the main event, as Jared Allen joins our intrepid Kenny Mayne.
To reach their agreement, players and owners held countless talks, none of which I followed. And I wasn't alone. This might be a collective blow to the NFL ego, but approximately 6.5 billion other people didn't care. Who won the Super Bowl?
Oh, who's the team? No idea.
In England, they think their soccer is football, and our football is unimportant.
Have you ever heard of the Green Bay Packers?
We don't get each other's faults, that's it.
Tom Brady or Ryan Leaf? Who's the best?
Ryan.
Ryan Leaf.
Yes.
My World Football Tour was to have been in the company of several NFL stars, but they were too busy cutting up billions of dollars.
Do I feel bad about Stephen Kenny Mayne? No. Then again, I can't feel anything. Nothing. I have no feelings. See? Nothing.
Jared missed our Brazil trip,
This is the same way Vince Lombardi drew up plays.
where a simple fade route was beyond comprehension,
We found ourselves a left guard.
and a working definition of a first down was never agreed upon. In South Africa, Zulu Warriors gave our game a brief try, then gave up, misappropriating our ball for unintended uses.
You know, I really feel embarrassed for Kenny. Well, and the whole game of football. Kenny, you should not have been out there alone. What the hell have I done?
American football, just run on. I'm sorry! Sweet Ireland, I've arrived!
While away spreading the word, news came the players and owners had reached a settlement. The long national daydream had ended.
And now pro football has many new disciples worldwide. Right here at home, the next generation prepares to take its place as the future of the game. Future locked out players.
Well, Kenny really did travel the world for his new series on espn.com. Always good to see Kenny. The main event, Kenny's Wider World of Sports, begins in October. A very wide world of football, looking in at the Pittsburgh Steelers at the Baltimore Ravens. As we said before, buckle your seatbelt for this. Here's Rachel Nichols.
Thanks, guys. Here with Coach Mike Tomlin. And if you look at these Ravens-Steelers games, over the last 1,000 minutes, that's about 18 games, the Steelers lead 333 to 327. That's only 7 points in 1,000 minutes. Why are these games so close?
Because we're evenly matched, to be quite honest with you. I think that's what makes this series what it is and the rivalry what it is. We have very closely matched, evenly matched teams with great leadership and guys that play with a great deal of passion.
You've got 20 new faces on the Ravens' 53-man roster, and earlier this week you said that made you uneasy. How is it going to affect this game?
Well, quite frankly, they know more about us than we know about them due to the new personnel and how they're going to use them and intermingle them with their schematics. Of course, it's somewhat of a mystery. We'll see how it unfolds today. We're excited about the opportunity.
And we're excited to watch. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
All right, Rachel, thank you very much. It's always good, very nice of Mike Tomlin to take a moment there to talk on the eve of a big game here. All right, so game picks. Let's start with this game here. I mean, Pittsburgh at Baltimore. How does it come out, Tom?
I picked the Ravens. The Steelers didn't make any changes. Ravens played them even last year. The Ravens added to what they had.
Ben Roethlisberger starting the season with the Pittsburgh Steelers, undefeated against Flacco. Ben Steelers.
I think the Pittsburgh Steelers, you know, you look at the receiving core they have against those young corners in Baltimore, Steelers.
The monkey's still on their back. Steelers.
Not now when? Yeah. Lee Evans, Ricky Williams, we'll see if it makes a difference. Ravens at home. It'll be a tough game. Colts at the Texans. Kerry Collins, a quarterback for Indy.
Texans, no Manning.
Indianapolis players, after the game, let me know if you miss Peyton Manning. I'm going with the Texans.
I'm going to go with the Texans, not because of Peyton Manning, just because it's time for them to take the division.
Yeah, I would have went with the Texans if Peyton was playing today.
You're all on the Texans. Why not? I'm trying it. Indianapolis, Kerry Collins.
Boom, you don't have to try now. We're starting to see 0-0.
We're a team.
Falcons at the Bears.
I'm picking the Falcons. Julio Jones, a great addition to that football team. They'll be a little bit better defensively.
Disappointing offseason for the Falcons. They did add Julio there. I think they're a better football team, but might not have as good a record as last year. Falcons get started fast.
I want some free food from Dickens, so I'm picking the Bears.
The sky parted, and the second coming of Jay Cutler. I picked the Bears.
They still have Urlacher, Briggs, and Peppers.
Absolutely.
I know Atlanta's but I'm going with the Bears in a quote upset, which is what this would be. Cowboys at the Jets tonight.
Cowboys, Jason Garrett has this team in the right frame of mind, period.
New York, man. New York, 9/11 night. It's going to be special. Jets.
New York Jets, state of mind.
God, I hate to pick against Jason Witten. I like him, but I'm picking the Jets.
Yeah, in that trapping, I think the Jets. I think the Jets score some too. I think the Jets win that one. All right, that's Susie. Super Bowl. We're to that time. The Super Bowl is gonna be in the drum in Indy. So let's bang the drum for the Super Bowl. What do you got?
We're teeing up the coach first.
The front-running Weasel moved back to Connecticut. He likes Green Bay over San Diego.
You know, I like the Green Bay pick. I think they're the most talented offense in all of football. And I think it's going to be a rematch. They will face the Steelers. However, a different outcome. The Steelers will beat them.
Well, I happen to be on the same page with you.
Oh, really?
They may be long in the tooth, Coach, but they still got some bite left in them over the Atlanta Falcons.
At this time last year, everybody was picking the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. Nobody's picking them this year. I think New England plays the Cowboys, and the Patriots take it all.
See, I agree that it's fun to go out on a limb, so I'm saying Green Bay for obvious reasons. And then Houston, there clearly should be the best in the division, best quarterback, right? So let's say they sweep the division. Powerful offense, improvements on defense. There we go.
So we got ourselves a long shot.
TJ, what do you think in Super Bowl?
I'm thinking Green Bay over New England. I took, you know, the NFC, you never get the repeat champion, and New England is always the best team when you look at it in the AFC. Green Bay wins that game.
I'm going with the same two teams in the Super Bowl, Tommy. You've been looking at my notes, but I believe that New England and Belichick, they get back on the winning side.
I've been listening to you, looking at your notes and everything.
Stealing.
Originally, I said the New England Patriots, but when Tom Brady started saying he'll take Randy Moss back, it made my ears go up to say he must not really feel good about Chad at the receiver position. So I'm switching to the New York Jets against the Green Bay Packers.
Flip-flop.
Well, I can't take the Green Bay Packers over the Bears, so I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers over the Steelers.
I think I-95, Philly, Baltimore, they're only about an hour and a half apart.
Yeah.
Let the fans drive to the games, have it at Delaware, right in the middle. Philly and Baltimore in the Super Bowl. Why not? Breakout performer. Now, this is an all-season thing. So as the year develops, guys, who we watching?
Well, think about the Pittsburgh Steelers. Ben Roethlisberger's ability to buy time and get out of the pocket, and Mike Wallace and his ability to get deep and hurt you. I think that those two are a rare combination this year.
Guy, you're talking about a football team getting better. New England picking up Albert Hainsworth. 6.5 sacks the last 2 years in Washington. Reclamation projects in New England going well. 2004, Corey Dillon, 1,600 yards. Randy Moss broke the NFL touchdown record. Hainsworth.
Hey.
San Diego Super
Key.
Vincent Jackson only played in 5 games last year. They missed him at the beginning of the season. He's coming back right now, a full season under his belt. As long as he can stay healthy, we'll give that offense some explosiveness.
I like Matthew Stafford. I think the main thing with Matthew, he's got to stay healthy. That's the biggest thing with him. He's got a great running game up there. He's got some fantastic receivers, and he got a defense that's going to get him the football gang.
Way below the radar. Colt McCoy, I think, is going to be a nice starter for the Cleveland Browns. They have a schedule that doesn't have him play Baltimore or Pittsburgh till December. He's got good coaching from the head of the franchise to the head coach to the position coach. I like where he's going. We're going on SportsCenter tonight. It begins at 7 Eastern. Then at 7:30, we move over to ESPN2 is baseball tonight on ESPN from Citi Field in New York. So that's certainly important to show. Tommy will be with us. Coach Herm will be with us tonight. John Saunders won't be with us tonight, but with us every week, and Trent will be back there. We have fun. We go over all the games. You want to join us for that. We'll be back with a poignant finish to Countdown after this.
Breakout Performers is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. Experience truly great engineering today at your authorized dealer. You are watching Sunday NFL Countdown, presented by IBM.
Welcome to PTI, boys and girls, and we begin today with
the bikini.
I'll alert the media on that.
You saying baseball players can't be tough guys? $20 if you get it tattooed.
Okay, Wilmon.
He's gonna potentially have a show where he has a badge.
Boom.
Hey,
shut up with that.
Maybe he's a late bloomer.
This is horrific.
We agree.
He's a giant.
I needed a nap.
One word.
Magnifique.
I'm thinking
my quarterback.
Just stop talking.
What are these players thinking? You didn't call that.
But you know what we do have?
Pardon the interruption. Weekdays on ESPN America.
I knew we had something special.
LaMichael to his left. Give it to him up the middle, inside. Touchdown!
They understood what our vision is for this football program, and the way we were going to get there was through hard work.
Oh, wide open downfield, Paulson. He's got it. He is touchdown, Oregon.
We stand for three things: playing fast, playing hard, and finishing.
Oregon, perfect. 12-0. The final score, Auburn 22 and Oregon 19.
One game doesn't define you as a person or as a football player. It's about playing the game, and that's what we've done all along, and that's what our vision is.
Look out! We're catching, folks.
Patrick Peterson, cornerback, LSU. The most important skills for a cornerback, you have to be swift on your feet. They also have to be a playmaker.
The average NFL QB's release time is roughly 0.4 of a second. And a pass that travels 20 yards through the air at 35 miles per hour takes just over 1 second to reach its target. This means that based on his reaction time, ability to change direction, and acceleration, if he's within 15 feet of the receiver, when the QB releases a pass that travels 20 yards through the air, Peterson can get a hand on the ball every time. For ESPN Sports Science, I'm John Brinkus.
In Super Bowl 26, the Washington Redskins were hoping to spell defeat for the Buffalo Bills. Mark Rippon, Washington's quarterback and the Super Bowl MVP, passed for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns as the Redskins dominated the first half.
Touchdown, Washington Redskins. Into the end zone, and it is caught for the touchdown.
The Bills, however, closed the gap with a late rally in the game's final 6 minutes, but couldn't bounce back from the damage done by the 4 interceptions thrown by quarterback Jim Kelly. With 427 total yards, the Redskins wrapped up the game to win their 3rd Super Bowl in 10 years.
Sunday NFL Countdown is presented by IBM. Let's build a smarter planet. Visit ibm.com/smarterplanet. And in part by McDonald's. I'm loving it.
Well, we hope that this gets you in the right mood a little bit for the start of football, but let's suffice it to say that never has there been an opening Sunday in the NFL more poignant. We're glad that you chose to share a part of it with us. As we all move forward, none of us will ever forget what happened 10 years ago. I'm Chris Berman, and for all of us at Sunday NFL Countdown, and from all of us at ESPN, enjoy your day. We'll see you tonight. Before the football, Robert De Niro in New York.
10 years ago today,